Welcome to the Chatverse. I'm Katie,
I'm Jennifer.
and today we're going to be talking about fears, things that we're afraid of that some people might think are irrational, but totally valid to us. So let's
Yes.
get chatting. So, like we said before, we are talking about our fears, irrational to some, but valid to us.
hmm
Um, Make sure to subscribe, like, and follow us to get content every Thursday.
hmm
And let's roll into this video, shall we?
Yes. Okay. So one of my really big things I'm scared of and fears is natural disasters.
It's a twister! It's a twister!
So
That's valid.
I have this thing where if the weather gets super, super bad, like really high winds, that type of stuff, like it kind of scares me. I do live in an older home, so like when the wind gets like really bad, it almost feels like a wall is gonna fall down. You're afraid a tree is gonna fall on your house. Um, I am grateful that we live in an area where there's no hurricanes. Tornadoes aren't really like they're common like more south of us, not where we're at.
Mhm.
I don't know what I would do if I lived in an area with tornadoes. I would be flipping out, afraid my house is gonna get torn apart and all my belongings are gonna go bye-bye. Like
Yeah.
that when I was little, when we had super bad like thunderstorms, um, and really high winds where I was afraid because my bedroom's all the way upstairs. I was afraid like the wall was gonna cave down, windows were gonna get sucked off, the roof's gonna come out. I think I even did this into high school. I would take my most precious belongings, pile them up, and stick them in my basement. I would take my favorite stuffed animals, my favorite DVD series collections, like yearbooks, like stuff that meant a lot to me. And I would, no joke, just be like hauling them all the way down the basement. And my parents would be like, not again. I would just be hauling the stuff, sticking it downstairs. I'm like, nothing will happen to them. They're safe now. But yeah,
They're safe downstairs.
yeah, and that's the thing, even like with like you stay in other states, like with like the wildfires or like the mudslides or hurricanes. My dream job, no joke, really is to work for Disney and to work
Yeah.
like with the Imagineers to help them develop, create ideas for the parks, that type of stuff. And people say, well, move to Florida, Jennifer. I don't know how I'd be able to deal with the hurricanes. I would be
Yeah.
freaking out. So yeah, natural disasters. Fear, yeah. Scaredish. Scaredy
The
cat.
storms are scary. Those do. That's a valid one. I think a lot of people are afraid of those.
Oh,
I
it
know.
gets ultra for me, so.
You get next level.
Guys, gotta run my home improvement DVDs to the basement. No joke.
Wait, I gotta
No
bring,
joke.
I gotta bring my Smallville stuff to the basement.
I think the time I brought my guitar downstairs, I was like,
Oh.
taking my laptop. I don't do that anymore, thank God. But it was a long period of my life, guys. Okay, your turn.
Well, at least you're over that phase.
Storms still, no, that still bothers me, but I don't go and bunker down with my crap.
Well,
to
yeah,
the basement.
like you don't like go and hoard your stuff in the basement. Is what I'm saying. At least that phase of it is over.
Thank God.
Not to that extreme, but yeah, mine. Okay, so the first one I'll talk about is I'm afraid of the dark.
Mother's right here. Mother will protect you.
I don't like the pitch dark. I always have to have some sort of, I don't want to say night light, but like some sort of like light plugged in, like the wallflower bulbs that Bath and Body has that have like the little light on them. I have to have those like, scattered around because I just don't like the pitch dark. I don't, I just, feel like something's gonna like pop out at me.
Right, or not having like room darkening shades.
Yeah, well, it's just like I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like there's something out in the void when it's like pitch black. Like because I can't see like what's around, then I'm just like, oh god. Hi, Annie. This is one of my dogs, Annie, guys.
Annie,
making her.
Can you hear me?
Annie, look. Say hi to everybody.
Can you see me, Annie? Hi, Annie.
So, like I was saying, I just don't really like the dark. And like when I go on vacation, if like I'm in a rental house and they don't have a lot of like lighting at night and it gets like pitch black because they don't have street lamps or anything, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I feel like
guys, I'll get texts from her.
I'll be like, it's too dark. That's why like I don't know how people will go like voluntarily out in the woods in like the darkness. I don't mind being in the woods any other time. Yeah. I'm outdoorsy, like I love being outside. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't like, that's one of the reasons I don't go camping, because I don't like being in the pitch dark. Because I'm just like, oh god.
Yeah, that's a whole other discussion I can get into. I'm not going to, but yeah.
Yeah.
Me being the camping lover, but yeah.
The camping
I've got stories with that, so that can maybe be something else. I'm gonna try not to laugh, because actually this is something I'm actually really serious about. I am very, very scared of getting put to sleep for surgery. It's only happened to me once. This fear was in me before it ever happened. So when the time came, it was really bad, to the point where I didn't want to give my arm or hand over to the nurses to inject what they needed to do. Yeah. And my dad had through me crying, they couldn't really understand. My dad had explained to him, like, she's never been put to sleep before, but she is afraid of this. And that's something that I don't like, being forcefully put to sleep. It's a fear I have, that either you're afraid you're gonna wake up during the surgery, or not to get dark, but also afraid that you might not wake up from surgery.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it can happen. Of course, there's so many times that you can go above that and say, no, it doesn't. But it is something that it deathly freaks me out. So when it came time, when I had to have surgery a couple years ago, it was not, it was bad, to the point of even like several weeks before my surgery, I was like crying over it.
Yeah.
So it was not good. Medical procedures in general, like weird, bizarre tests, procedures in general, really, really scare me. And so that's why when you get older, you have to have stuff done to you. And I don't know how I'm going to deal with that.
Bring me the epidermal tissue disruptor.
The epidermal what? Oh, no. No. No!
Yeah, so that's my take on that. Like, it's like a very, very like serious thing with me that I get scared about. So yeah.
Yeah. I can verify that, yes. Because I was there the entire time you were going through all of that, and you would text me or call me and say you were like afraid of stuff, and I would do my best to try to reassure you that everything was going to be okay.
Yeah.
Even though I know it's like hard to be like, yeah, everything's gonna be okay when you don't know the like
right, because you went through it with wisdom teeth surgery, and that's something that I need to do, but I've been putting off because of pandemic. But I mean, and other reasons too. But for me, there was a possibility of me being in surgery for several hours, and I was. Yeah. So
it was a different story from being like wisdom teeth surgery could be like 45 minutes tops.
Yeah.
major surgery is a couple hours, could be.
I
if
don't
they-
even remember how long I was put down for, but it was scary.
Yeah.
And that's actually a conversation I would actually might want to have, talking about
Yeah.
it was thyroid surgery. I mean, other stuff involved with it, because I know it's something that young people don't always deal with. So it's something that I might want to actually maybe do a video about possibly, but I don't know.
Yeah. I do. I get though being like afraid of being like knocked out, because I was nervous when I was gonna get my wisdom teeth out. That I got them out back when I was 19, but so it's been a while. But I remember being nervous, and thankfully I had a nurse that was very like chill and very like she was very nice about it, and like she was like, don't worry, you're not the only one, this is like a common thing, everybody is afraid to be like knocked out for the first time. And she was like, explain to me what each machine would do, and she talked to me throughout the whole thing, and then it made me be more comfortable. And she's like, don't worry, your heart rate will be higher because you're nervous, and that's a normal thing. A lot of people get nervous at the doctor anyways, but like especially doing something that you've never done before, you've never been knocked out, you're going to be nervous.
Oh God,
you don't know what's happening. Yeah, so that's totally understandable. A lot of people go through that, so you're not alone in that fact. And don't worry, you'll laugh at some of mine, because I'm saving those two for the last ones, because a lot of people tease me on them because they think they're hilarious.
Oh boy. I'll try not to laugh, but who knows? Because the problem with me and Katie is we talk about serious stuff and then we laugh when we shouldn't be. But I think it's just
laugh at inappropriate times.
Yes, but that's just who me and Katie are and the type of friendship we have.
Mechanism too. You know what I mean?
What?
Like, I said, I think it's like a coping mechanism.
I think sometimes. It is, especially like with the way how me and you interact. So it's just something we've dealt with for years. So
because it's something. Let's see. Heights. I'm afraid of heights.
Oh yeah. Okay.
What's wrong? You've reached the southwest window. Why are you hesitating?
It's fine. I've just never been this high before.
It gets to the point where at certain heights I'm able to like compose myself and be like, I'm like, okay, I'm fine. But other heights, like if I know if I have to like step off of something, or it's teetering on the edge or something, my body just kind of freezes. And like I'm telling myself to move, but I can't move. Yeah. Because I'm like that afraid of like, it's like almost like a perception thing. When you're at a certain height, you kind of are like, oh God, one false move, I'm gonna fall or something. And like you kind of feel disoriented. So there's like certain heights where I'm like completely like, I just can't. And then like if somebody tries to help me, I'm like, don't touch me, just don't touch me, because I think like they're gonna make me fall or something. Like it gets to the point where like even there's like roller coasters I won't go on because like I'm afraid of heights, and just some of them are just too extreme, and I'm like, oh no. Yeah, but
that's why I like the rides at Disney, because there's a lot that you can go on. There are some of the big rides that I don't like big drops on rides. I deal with certain things with height too, so I totally know what you mean on it, but it's true. It almost seems like the orientation that you're in almost determines it. Like if you have to stand somewhere at a certain height, that's different from if you're like moving, or you know that there's something in front of you that you're like, well, I can't fall. Like, so yeah, there's a lot of different things that go into that, because then there's people then that they feel dizzy with heights, or then if people have what's that called,
is it vertigo?
Yeah, vertigo. Then sometimes people have that with the heights makes the situation worse. So yeah, I totally get where you're at with the heights.
Yeah, I mean, and it's weird though, because like even here, like hiking and stuff, and you go up on those high cliffs and stuff, I'm walking around the edge and like I'm okay.
Yeah, same.
But if I get like too close to the edge and I look down and I think about how high I am, then I'm like, oh God, you know. And I like when I go on vacation, I climb bluffs and stuff. I'm all right. What are you crying about?
Heights.
Annie just started crying.
Heights bug Annie too.
Yeah, she doesn't like them either.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because like I've gone to those different areas, like where you go to like you're hiking in the woods and you go up to that big opening, and where you look down like at Lake Michigan, or you see these different areas, or even like the parks by us, and it doesn't bother you, but it feels like it needs to be like a certain orientation to be like, oh my god.
Like we went, we were thinking about zip lining down in the park here, like by us. And like I was looking at it, we were walking around because they're like, oh yeah, you can walk around before you like book, you know, to see what the course is like and stuff. And the one instructor, like this girl was like freaking out. Like she walked over this one like very sketchy like rope bridge type thing. And then there was like you had to jump across, you were like on the wire, but you had to jump across into this net to get to this other part. And this instructor like had no mercy for this girl. Like she was like afraid. She's like, I can't do it. And he just launched her off the thing.
God.
And
I
was
hate
like,
when people do that stuff.
I couldn't do that. Because I'm like, my body would like physically like just freeze. And I'd be like, I'm trying to move, but I can't.
See, I don't know if I'd be able to do zip lining. I don't know.
I'm like, no, there's no way. I'm like, this is not
it depends how high up you are, because there's some zip lining where you're like in the treetops, and there's some where you're like lower. But I don't know.
It was like in the treetops. Like it was a couple hundred feet off the ground, and I was like, I'm like, after witnessing that like instructor just launch this girl off of the thing, I was like, no, this is a no for me.
Oh boy.
I'm like, because I know the instructor would do the same thing to me, and I get like you have to get the person to move, but like that is a disaster. Like, because I'm like, oh my god, what if the like rope thing broke or something? Like you're just throwing somebody.
Because one, you can make people more fearful of the situation, or make the fear even worse for them, or
you tense up.
Yeah,
you're
like sometimes that can help break the fear of things, where you push yourself. But people shouldn't do that. That's not good.
Yeah, because you're like already tense as it is when you're in that situation where your body just like freezes up, and if somebody just like pushes you off to it to try to get you out of that fear, like you're like, no, it's a no from me. I'm like, no, thank you.
So my next one is, I don't like getting scared. So I do not watch scary movies. I don't watch horror movies. I don't like going to haunted houses with jump scare. Like, I don't do that stuff because I don't like putting myself in a situation where I could get scared, because I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Like, I would be that person, if someone brought me into a haunted house, I would be that person who, no joke, would like dig their heels into the ground, scrouch down, in the sense that if someone tries to push you, I try to become dead weight where you can't move me. I really don't like it.
I don't like it.
And then I know people think, oh, it's funny to get scared, but like with scary movies, like with this gruesome stuff or this pop out stuff, I just can't take it.
Yeah.
That type of a thing. So it's the same thing that goes with like medical stuff in movies and TV shows scare me. For example, I just watched Doctor Strange for the first time the other night, and I didn't know there was medical stuff involved with it. So when I was watching the beginning, when he's the neurosurgeon, I am, no joke, pulling my blanket kind of above me, because I know it's all fake, but it's like, I don't know what they're gonna start pulling out, and I don't know if they're gonna show like a headshot. Like, that's why I never was able to watch Grey's Anatomy or certain things. So like the medical stuff, watching that, you know, it's fake, like that scares me too. So that, like, I kind of put that into like the scary movie stuff.
Yeah, like the gore. No, I know what you mean. I don't like being on edge either. Like that, like it just, when jump scares happen, like if I'm already on edge, like I don't like that. So I understand what you're talking about. This one I think a lot of people deal with. So it's not like that irrational, but claustrophobia. Like I don't like tight spaces.
Could you not stand so close? You're making me claustrophobic.
What does claustrophobic mean?
It means he's afraid of Santa Claus.
No, it doesn't.
Ho, ho, ho!
Stop it, Patrick, you're scaring him!
I'm fine with it, but then if I like start to feel like I'm stuck, I'll like panic, and I just like I'll start like sweating, and I'm like, oh my god.
What's an example where you were like caught in a small space, like?
Okay, so this was back when I want to say 16. I was on a flight to Florida, and I went into the airplane bathroom.
Oh.
And it was in flight, and the suction on the door got stuck. So like those bathrooms are little.
Yeah.
So like once I noticed that like the door was not opening, I started to like almost panic, and I had to like control myself and was like, okay, I have to think of a way to get out of here, because then I'm like, I'm on a flight. What if something happens? I'm not in my seat. I'm stuck in this bathroom. Like, it's a tight space. Like, I was starting to freak out, and I had to like calm myself down. And I was like, okay, let me pull the seal on the door. And then it released the suction, and I was able to open the door. And the flight attendant was like outside, and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, the door got suction closed. Like, it would not open. I unlocked it and it would not open. She was like, yeah, that happens sometimes in flight. And I was just like, dude, it's terrified me. Because I was like kind of like piquant. Like my like color was a little like off, because I was like stuck in the bathroom. Because then I'm like thinking of all the scenarios, like, oh my god, I'm on a flight. Like, what if something happens and I'm stuck in the bathroom, and like my family's out on the flight, and like I'm in here and I'm not strapped in, and I'm gonna like fly off.
See, I didn't know that like that kind of stuff bothers you, like with like the tight spaces and stuff. I honestly didn't.
Yeah.
About like crawling, like if you had to go into a crawl space attic. Would that
I
bother
get
you?
it's like if it's like a really like tight space, like I get like, I'm like, oh my god, like, because I'm like, if I make one wrong move, I'm gonna get like lodged in here.
Oh boy.
And then I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna like, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's like kind of like you get that, like it triggers when you're kind of like caught, or like you're like, oh, I can't get out. Then it like happens, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, I start to panic. Yeah, but yeah, that like that one I don't really like talk about that often, because it's not something that like I experience.
Yeah, I never knew that part, so
yeah. I think the mailman's here. That's why they're yelling. Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go off of what Katie was talking about, because it's a little bit on the same topic. I don't know if I'm as scared or afraid anymore of this, but flying on an airplane, that was something that I never did growing up. So I was like afraid to go on a plane because of how high you are up in the sky.
Yeah.
A lot of things that involve that. And of course, whenever I'd bring this up to my friends, they would be like, you're just saying that because of Lost.
Yeah.
The TV show Lost, which I love that show. But I was like, no, it has nothing to deal with Lost. It has nothing to deal with that.
Over there.
It was just like being up in there and just a lot of stuff involving with it. In 2017 was the first time I went on an airplane. It was to Disney World. I went with my friends, and that was the first time I was on there. And I, no joke, when the plane was about to take off, I actually curled up on my seat and kind of almost started crying because I was afraid of takeoff. I didn't know how I was going to deal with it, how I was going to feel, because you're getting shot up in the air. And
yeah.
Also, I do have some heart stuff going on with me, so I did not know if me getting pushed up like that, or with the air pressure in the cabin, if it was going to make my heart want to beat fast and just keep beating
like
fast.
Like the G-force, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, I had medication with me in case that were to happen, but, like that was another fear of mine putting into that. When I was on the plane, it like wasn't too bad. It was more of dealing with turbulence. If anything, that will kind of get me nervous on a plane. But a lot of that fear went away after, you know, being on the plane, like going to Florida that first time, coming home. I don't think it really bothered me. When I went back on it again in 2019, there and back, it didn't bother me really. It was just the fact of that I was more scared of my heart might be like triggered to be like, oh, you're scared or freaked out or something weird's going on, so I'm just gonna go in this fast beating cycle and can't get out of it. But of course, like I said, a medication with me that will help just put it back in sync. But yeah, there it was for a long time like I didn't want to, and then my friends literally said, Jennifer, we are not driving down to Florida, which I did it when I was little with my family, and I would be willing to like do it again possibly. But yeah, it's going on it helped kind of clear the fear. But yeah, that was like a big thing for a long time. I didn't want to get on a plane.
Yeah, like takeoff and landing can be a little sketchy sometimes. Yep. Okay, so this is gonna get into the ones where like people laugh.
Okay.
These are like ones where like
I'll try not to, but I'm sorry if I do.
People think that, well, you'll know which, like one of them. It's not this one, but the next one you'll know.
Okay.
But people like, this is where people say it's like irrational, but it's like a very like valid fear to me. Porcelain dolls freak me out.
I got you a little something too, actually. What? You said you're over it.
And it's fine to laugh.
A lot of people, no, it's just the fact of because I know a lot of people who don't like dolls.
Yeah.
So
it's not dolls in general, it's porcelain dolls. They just freak me out because like the way they just look like they're haunted. They just look like there's something off about them. And like you see all those like movies, the scary movies and stuff, they're always like there's some that's like centered around like some kind of doll, and sometimes they're porcelain dolls and stuff, and it just like they just have this creepiness about them that like I think that it's gonna like come to life. I don't know why, but I was in somebody's house like back in 2019, and they have like this room had like all these porcelain dolls in it. Totally freaked me out. And like I had to move some of them, and I was just like, oh my god, I had to get to the point where I would like have to have one of the other girls like do that area, because I was like, I can't touch those, like they just creep me out. And they would
Are you doing your nervous laugh thing too?
Yeah,
like,
I was like
get out of here.
Like I don't want to touch this. No, I like was like, no, I'm serious, guys. Like I just they just freak me out, and like they would be like laughing and they would like joke and like tease me about it, but I was like, whatever, guys. Like it is something that's like I can see how it's funny. It's like, oh my god, really, you're afraid of a porcelain doll? But there's a reason, and it kind of goes into like my other one that like will kind of is telling of why I don't like porcelain dolls.
So for my last one that I'm gonna share, people might not take this as a fear, or to be scared of, but in my head, it exists that way. I get scared that people from my past, whether it be like old friends from years ago, old co-workers, different stuff like that, that they are going to remember me for not the good stuff that I did or good accomplishments, that type of stuff, that they're going to remember me for mistakes or bad things that happened or things that rubbed them the wrong way. And that to a lot of people would be like, that's just like so conceited, or that's like the most dumbest thing. I've dealt with this honestly since I was little. Like I'm a person that sometimes worries about what other people think of me, or when you try to make an impression on people and it goes wrong, like I worry about it too much. But it's the fact that like I think of even like in the job world, am I going to be remembered for the reason why I left? Or is that what, when they bring up my name or if someone brings me up, that's what they're going to think of, and it's going to be in this whole rotation of, well, we're just going to talk bad about Jennifer. We're going to talk about this individual this way. And that bothers me, and I know it's something bad to have bother you, but it's something that really it's a fear in me, and it scares me because I don't want to be remembered that way. Even like you could say like childhood friends or friends from the past, you want to be remembered for the good things, and you want those to get put over stuff. Of course, there's always things that happen in life that you're going to automatically remember. But it's just the fact if it's like that, it gets to the point then where it makes you like think of, well, maybe I shouldn't get into conversations with people this way, because then, that could happen. Then you could be fearful in the future, like, oh, well, are they just going to remember when this blowout happened? Or are they going to think of when Jennifer was selfish, or when Jennifer was having problems? Like, it's just stuff like that it really gets in the way. And I know some people say that it's a common thing to have and you grow out of it. I don't think I ever grew out of it, and I know for me that's a problem. And I've tried to like reroute my brain and think a different way, but it's just how it is. And it's always that, oh, well, am I going to get this job, or are they going to talk to people who I worked with in the past, and that's going to trump over that, and then I'm not going to have a chance. Like, it's that type of stuff that gets stuck in me, and it just scares me, and I don't like it.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I was laughing
no,
at
I know. I saw there was little animals popping up, so
yeah, no, I know what you mean, because a lot of people have those thoughts, and I think it's like kind of like a societal thing, because like in society, people like are worried about what somebody else thinks about them, and it's kind of like a thing that's ground in, where it's not the easiest thing to get over. Like, you could say, okay, I'm not going to care what somebody else thinks about you. Yes, exactly, Finnick. He has thoughts on this subject. He's like, don't worry about it. But it's easier said than done, because you could be like, I don't care what people think, but then at the same time, like when somebody slanders you or whatever, and you're just like, they're trying to ruin my reputation when that's not even who I am.
Right. It's so bad that how easily that kind of stuff can happen. Like, it's whatever, but
yeah, no, it's like that's something I think a lot of people deal with, a lot more people than people want to admit.
Well, good. I'm glad I brought that up then, because I was nervous putting it out there, but I'm like, this is something like is in some of my top fears, so I'm going to talk about it. So.
No, it's something that like I've noticed like affects a lot of people in society, whether they talk about it or not. Like, there's times where like I'm like, yeah, I don't give a crap what somebody thinks about me, but at the same time, like, there's that part of me that's like a people pleaser, so I don't want to like have somebody think
that is
poorly of me, or like I'm the person I am for a reason, and I don't want you trying to slander me just because you feel insecure about yourself or something. That's a totally different like conversation that we could have.
But it's still in the same route, but people pleaser, oh my god, it's where you become like a suck up, a kiss ass, that type of stuff.
Yeah, I don't get to that point, but
now we're on to your last one.
Yes, my last one, and this is one that I always get grief with, and I am terrified of clowns. Clowns terrify me. And why I said the porcelain doll thing leads into this is because it was a deep-rooted fear of mine of clowns. Like, I didn't just happen one day that I was like, oh my god, clowns are terrifying. It wasn't like I just watched it and it scared me. My brother did make me watch the first It, the original one, that did like heighten my fear of clowns. But the deep-rooted fear is from when I was a little baby. Like, one of my uncles gave me a clown doll that had a porcelain face.
Yeah.
And I can remember every detail of this doll. And it freaked me out as a little kid to the point where I thought this doll was like watching me all the time. I had this feeling like this doll was watching me, this clown. And I hid it in the back of my closet. And like one day when I was older, I found it and I was like, I have to get rid of this because I still felt its presence like there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh God. Like, so that's where like that porcelain doll fear comes from, because of that porcelain clown face doll thing. Because the body was like, it was like that bean texture, kind of like a bean bag. It was like that. And the face just was
How
porcelain.
the Beanie Babies used to be more like.
Yeah, it was like stiff. It was stiffer. And I was just like, oh God, it was terrifying. This thing had like this purple and teal outfit. It had like the purple and teal makeup, and the hair was purple and like stuck up, and like the hair was like almost like one of those troll dolls. Like, and that's where it started. Like, it deep rooted that fear of clowns, and then ever since, like, it just heightened.
You could think of it as a clown phobia sobriety chip.
So that year that we had that killer clown problem.
Oh my God.
I was like, this is a literal nightmare.
I had people who were going out and buying floodlights so they could drive around the city and be like pointing out their dang window.
Yeah, no, I was just like,
Stupid.
You're not ruining going into the woods for me, these stupid clowns. Like, I still would go into the woods, and I was like, whatever. Like, I'm not.
People were purposely trying to look for crap with that. But.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not looking for no clowns. Like, I'm like, no. Like, this is not. And that's the thing where, like, people are like, oh, clowns are funny. No, they're not. Especially, they're not. They've always been creepy. Even the ones that perform at kids' parties, those are creepy. There's nothing funny about those. They're just terrifying. And it's like, they've just, even in entertainment, they've pushed it where clowns are just this, like, sinister, they eat kids. They, like,
God.
Are killers. That's what Pennywise does. That's it. That's Stephen
Well,
King.
I don't watch those type of movies, so I wouldn't know.
And when they remade it, I was like, oh my God, no way.
Well, which one? Never mind. I'm not going.
The original one is like.
Who's the one in the ditch, in the drain in the street then?
That's Pennywise. But there's
okay, that's Pennywise. Okay.
Yeah. The movie's just called It, but the clown's name is Pennywise. The like newer ones are even worse than the first one.
I did my top 5 where we just each pick 5. So I did my 5, you did your 5.
Yes. Yeah, and of course there's others, but for the sake of the video, 5 was enough.
Because I was going over 10 then, so.
Yeah, no. So we hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free in the comments to list some of your fears that are totally valid to you, but some people might laugh or think are irrational.
And please be kind to each other if you decide to comment on other people's, because not everyone's afraid of the same thing, not scared of the same thing, so just be respectful in that matter.
Yeah, that is a disclaimer that we will put out as in this video to end it. We don't tolerate bullying, so
shaming.
We don't want to see it in our comment section or anything against any of our viewers or ourselves. I'm totally fine with sarcastic jests and stuff like that. Just some banter, that's totally fine. But when you cross that line, we don't tolerate it.
Definitely.
But with that aside, feel free to talk about it.
Get chatting in the Chatverse comments.
Yes, just start chatting up in there. Like we said, we hope you enjoyed this conversation. Hope you got some laughs out of some of the things that we are afraid of.
Yeah.
And if you aren't subscribed, go ahead and hit subscribe. Hit that bell to get the notifications. That way you will know when our videos come out on Thursdays. You'll be one of the first to know.
Yep.
And go ahead and like if you want.